so excited?
Chelsea is ready. She's just finished.
Every little girl has dreams about what her wedding day will look like, but the reality doesn't always match up with what she had in mind. The words forced marriage are not something we hear in Canada every day, but it is a serious issue that many girls face. Most think it only happens in third world countries, but the reality is that it happens all over the world, with nearly 14 million girls being affected by it every year. You may be thinking, but Canada has laws protecting girls against such wrongdoings. This is true, but many have found ways around the laws as they simply aren't secure enough to protect these girls. Bill S-7 protects Canadians from child marriage by prohibiting a permanent resident or foreign individual to take part in any forced marriage in Canada. Requirements for marriage state that any individual entering into a marital contract must be a minimum of 16 years old. Bill S-7 outlines offenses of marriage to include an official performing marriage against federal law, the act of removing a child under the age of 16 outside of Canada to be married, and finally, participating, celebrating, or helping in a union where the one to be married is under 16 years old, or it is against the child's will. For example, parents may send their daughter out of country to be wed, and then have her come back to Canada with her new, much older husband, gaining him access to Canadian soil. You may be wondering why a parent would ever do this to their child. The reality is that for many cultures and religions, such as Christian, Jehovah's Witness, Hindu, and Muslim, this has been the norm for so long, some perceive it as being okay. Yet, many of these young girls were born on Canadian soil and have grown up with Canadian beliefs, but because of their background, they are subject to a different set of rules. An immigrant mother and her 14-year-old American daughter visit a local gynecologist because the teenager claimed to have had sexual relations with a classmate. Unknown to her, she had been promised in marriage to a Yemen man. The mother wanted a hymenoplasty for her daughter to ensure she would appear to be a virgin. Her mother believed she would be killed otherwise. The girl objected to leaving the U.S. and giving up her life in America. She said she did not want to end up as the third wife to an older gentleman, or be used as a route for him to get into the U.S. The physician refused to do the surgery, and the daughter left with her mother. 2 weeks later, they returned. The girl said she now wanted the surgery. The gynecologist did the surgery, convinced this was the best way to protect her. So what can we do to stop this from happening? Well, the Canadian government has been providing funds to Plan Canada to support the effort in projects such as Because I Am a Girl. Researchers have also been looking into effective methods of preventative measures and believe that a crucial line of defense could begin with authority figures. These would include healthcare practitioners, police officers, lawyers, judges, teachers, and child protective services personnel. Healthcare practitioners could be a first line of defense for these young females, since many cases show a visit to a physician before departing out of the country. This would be similar to the story of the girl who had the hymenoplasty. Toronto's South Asian Legal Clinic of Ontario discovered 219 cases of forced marriage that took place in Ontario and Quebec in the year of 2013. These cases are said to have occurred from 2010 to 2012. Investigation uncovered that more than half were Canadian citizens. 57% of the cases were set to take place outside of Canada. The Department of Foreign Affairs revealed that they provided assistance to 34 of these cases. School systems and other authority figures in the child's life should be able to identify possible forced marriage risks and intervene by contacting enforcement and social workers. Educating these young girls of their rights to marry whom they wish is paramount as well. These small interventions can reduce forced marriages substantially in addition to the laws in place. In order to provide adequate education to the generation of young ladies, it is first important that we put emphasis on the need for educating our authority figures on just how important a role they play in reducing the number of forced marriages that occur each year. By providing Canadian authority figures with the tools to understand how forced marriage works, we can impact the lives of thousands of young girls and prevent the trauma associated with forced marriage of a minor. Children should be free to be children, without the worry of being torn away from their home, family, and friends. As healthcare professionals, we have the power to prevent these experiences from happening. This ability will give young ladies the power of choice and the freedom to lead their lives as they wish.